All right. Live again with what I like to call Metasearch assassins.
I don't know about that.
We're going to talk about
Ninjas.
Metasearch
Maybe
today.
ninjas. Yeah.
Ninjas? Okay, you can be a
Yeah.
ninja.
Yeah,
I'll take
are good.
ninjas.
I just felt like ninja was a little overused. And I mean, I've been around you, Steve. You're kind of a killer. Assassin.
We're warriors over here.
All right. Metasearch. Yeah. So maybe hotels, maybe their Metasearch strategy is panic bidding, or maybe they're overspending, or maybe they just don't really know what their strategy should be. So today we're going to answer those questions and more. And if you two assassins, ninjas are ready, we'll just jump in.
Yep.
Let's go.
Somersaulting. Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the myth. Steve, why do many hoteliers still believe Metasearch is the most, what I would call, efficient way to drive direct bookings?
It is part of it, it is, and it is efficient, and it's probably, a lot of hoteliers will look at it because it is so visual, it's tangible. You set up your meta search and you see a rate online somewhere else. It's not just on your website. So it's quite a visible part of the user journey, and it plays a huge part. It does. We typically see. Like when we're attributing revenue, we normally see around 15 or 20% of revenue has a meta search touch point. So whether that's Google hotel ads or TripAdvisor, Trivago, whatever it might be. But then like we know it's more than that, because you could be browsing the rates on your phone and then you're booking on a different device, but you're probably using a meta search platform to do some form of research. I think one of the older metrics that I'd love to get a refresh on is 45% of travel journeys use a meta search platform. Now that's flights, hotels, everything, but it makes sense. It makes complete sense, because at early stage user journey, you're gonna look for the platform that gives you the options, and before you narrow down into what you're actually looking to book.
Yeah. You're going to Google it, right?
Yeah. Although Googling is going away, but we'll talk about that again.
Okay. Danielle, how about this? How about SHR's analysis has uncovered some surprising CPC data. So what's the real cost difference between rate parity, OTA, undercutting, and offering the lowest rate on your website?
Yeah, so our team actually looked at data from over 100 hotels. We looked at different property types, different revenue strategies, and when we took a look at more than 27 million impressions across Google Booking Links data, we found that OTAs were costing hotels more than many realize when it comes to costs and conversions. We saw that hotels allowing OTAs to undercut their official website rates actually paid an additional $3,500 for every 10,000 clicks. And this is compared to hotels maintaining rate integrity. And you can find that in our secrets book that I know that you pushed out. But we also saw that even with rate parity, some hotels are incurring higher CPCs because guests often don't see the incentive to book direct. So we're seeing properties paying not only the commission fee, but also higher media costs too. What we did find was that hotels that made sure their website had the lowest rate were paying the lower CPCs, just around like 75 cents per click. We found, and we were getting stronger conversion rates at just under 5%. So, even though you offer a slightly lower rate, you may lose a few dollars, but you're saving more because you're avoiding those commission fees.
Yeah. And then just on the CPCs as well, like the most interesting thing, so what Danielle was looking at was the hotel ads CPCs. When we look at the macro, the overall digital marketing, when you have the lower rate on your official website, your Google Ads clicks are cheaper, your Metasearch obviously is cheaper, your Microsoft clicks are cheaper. Everything just starts coming together much better because the OTAs aren't bidding right across that kind of all of the different channels. So it's not just within the hotel ads space that you're seeing the savings. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and Danielle referenced your digital strategy mini book, which I will put in the comments of this recording once it's up. It's a good resource. So, Steve, let's talk about rate integrity as a foundation for Metasearch efficiency. I mean, can you explain what that means for hotels in real terms?
Yeah, I think Danielle touched on it there with like rate integrity it's key to the Metasearch strategy. What we're talking about in terms of rate integrity is consistency of your rate across all of the different channels that you might be plugged into. And it's getting tougher and tougher every single day, week, month that goes by. And I hear it every time I talk to revenue managers. I've been at a lot of events over the past few months, and everyone you speak to is like, what is going on with all of these, bandit OTAs jumping up and stealing your rates and like undercutting massively. It's so like rate integrity it's a massive issue at the minute. It really is a massive problem. And then we see it. So we're looking at the data of the price competitiveness. So when we're looking at it, we're seeing that a hotel that has a very strong setup and that always has the best rate on their official website should normally be seeing a price difference of, they're seeing a minus basically in terms of price difference versus the OTAs. And what we're actually now seeing is that you could be anywhere between 15, 20, 25, 30% showing as more expensive versus the OTAs, because I don't know what to call them. Bandit OTAs is probably a good way to look at it, but fourth-party OTAs or whatever you might call them, they are they're just everywhere. They're so prevalent at the minute, and it's near impossible to actually try and track them in real time. It takes an awful lot of work, an awful lot of research, and it really is the bane of revenue managers globally at the minute, I think.
Yeah. So if they're bandit OTAs, then it requires probably not ninjas or assassins, but maybe Pinkertons. You had Pinkertons in Europe, right?
I don't know what a Pinkerton is, but
I don't know
okay,
what a Pinkerton
I'll
is.
say yes. Yeah.
Cops.
Okay. Good, yeah.
The detectives back in
Yeah.
the 1800s, 1900s. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Danielle, how does the OTA branding bidding force hotels into unnecessary ad spend, and what does that look like in a daily campaign?
Yeah, and I know that Steve had touched on those other OTAs, right? We've really been seeing them coming on strong lately, and I feel like they're really bidding up the competition. So obviously, when things get competitive, it's only natural to want to go into defense mode and protect the brand. But we really want to make sure we're doing so strategically. We don't want to spend all of our budget trying to outbid the OTAs because we're just not going to win against them. Um, Even when a guest is clearly intending to book the hotel directly, they're often intercepted by OTA ads. Think about it as you're a potential guest, and when you're out there, you're searching, you're ready to book. There's a lot of noise out there, right? So we really have to think about how do we break through this. And really it comes down to investing in brand awareness, building that recognition with new audiences, expanding reach. We stay competitive by offering rates at parity, like we've been talking about, or even a few dollars lower, focusing on things like value-added incentives. So offering call-outs like free breakfast, free parking, loyalty perks, even oceanfront rooms, anything that will just kind of pull that attention away. Offering return guests better perks for booking direct. We also use bid modifiers to target date ranges or events happening in the area to kind of bid up around some of those key times. And really, with all of this, the goal is just to make booking direct more attractive so we're not losing our own guests. We don't really have to focus on outbidding the OTAs. We really just need to be competitive enough to win that visibility with those value incentivized offers across all stages of the funnel, really, and across all channels, like Steve was talking about.
Yeah, selling value.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Steve, Google booking links has shifted how Metasearch works. What changes have you seen, and how do you think independent hotels should adjust?
Yeah, Google is the primary meta search, So if we're talking about meta search, most of the time we're talking about Google Hotel Ads, right? But and it used to be, I don't know, simple. It was the Google booking links on your business listing when a brand was searched, and there it was. That has evolved massively. So the booking links have been integrated across the entire Google ecosystem, into Google Ads. So now we have the Performance Max for travel campaigns. So we've got rates and inventory feeding into live ads that are running through Performance Max campaigns. So you see them on the search, the carousel feeds that you've got rates actually popping up there. That's all coming through booking links. It's obviously in things like Google Maps. You have property promotion ads. There's a huge amount of kind of the proliferation of Google Hotel Ads, right across the Google ecosystem. And really excitingly, I suppose, what's happening at the minute is going back to the Googling is leaving us. We're now moving into AI mode. So you're not going to be Googling with a typed question. You're going to be Googling with a conversation with Google now. So it's and that's one of the biggest changes. But that's probably one of the biggest things that Google has going for it. They have this huge ecosystem, not just within travel, across all of their different products. But when we narrow it down to travel, as they roll out their LLM, so their large language model, which is Gemini, they're rolling that out into the Google product as we speak. So for anyone that's dialing in from the US, you probably have it and you can see it. AI mode is available to you. I believe it's rolling out in India at the minute, and we're going to see it globally, I would imagine, before the end of this year. What essentially is happening there is that the LLM is going to replace your Google search button. So your query is no longer going to be going through google.com. It's going to be going through Google Gemini. And that query then is plugged into all of Google's ecosystem. So it's really interesting what's happening around there. And what we're seeing is, the searches. I had fear. I was genuinely kind of afraid for independent hotels because it's already extremely hard to get visibility on traditional Google today, because the TripAdvisors, the Marriotts, these guys, they've done an unbelievable job in building their brands, and they're building their websites to dominate on, particularly on generic listings. What we're actually finding is the more we play around with AI mode, things like if you have a well-connected tech platform, like your Google booking links as a live feed and all that kind of stuff, you're giving really good information to that LLM, to Google Gemini, and that's surfacing really good content for independent hotels. So what we're actually finding, and this is only really in the last few weeks as we've been testing and playing with it where we can, but it's we actually think that there's going to be opportunity for independent hotels. It's going to be it's not I'm not as concerned, a few weeks into this now as I was probably in May when they dropped the bomb that AI mode is rolling out. So yeah,
good. That's good to hear. You recommend an OWS first strategy. Can you unpack that for us?
So OW first is actually, probably Danielle has talked about it already, but it's essentially that it's rate integrity for a start. So you want consistent rates right across the board. But then the OW first, or OWS, which is official website, when I'm talking about that, I'm essentially saying that, lean towards profitability, and profitability is the official website getting the booking. So if you're like if your rate is $200 a night, you know, put that on the website and put 250 on booking.com or 250 on Expedia, because they're going to charge you pretty chunky commission to bring you the booking. Whereas when you have things like Metasearch, you know, you have the same visibility as Expedia does for the most part, because people, you know, some people will go to Expedia, some people will go to the larger OTAs because they might have loyalty programs or whatnot. But, you know, most people are actually going through the Google, you know, they are using that platform. And you have, if you have Metasearch, you've got the same visibility, you've got the same opportunity to reach that customer as any other OTA. So don't give the don't just give away the commission by giving them lower rates, you know. So that's when we talk about official website first, we're saying get your rates in order, get your house in order, and then build out your, I call it, you know, there's different levels of intent, we'll say, when people are searching for your website. So you want to be out in front of that kind of that conversion intent, that high intent. So it's making sure that you have the best possible access to your website as you can, and a big part of that is that nice visual lower rate on the Google Booking links.
Danielle, for hotels looking to balance top, mid, even lower funnel efforts, where should they start if their budget is somewhat limited?
Yeah, so I would say when budgets are limited, I suggest prioritizing your lower funnel campaigns first. So, you know, with Metasearch, as we've been talking about, users are already in a booking mindset. They're already actively looking for specific hotels or areas. They're comparing prices. So this channel reaches guests when they're at their closest to making a decision. Metasearch also offers stronger ROIs, lower CPCs, and higher conversion rates from what we're seeing. And you know, if an OTA is bidding on your brand, pushing out a low cost brand search campaign also ensures your website stays visible and competitive, and really allows the hotel to capture that high intent traffic before it goes to an OTA, kind of like what Steve was talking about. And then I would balance that with a light mid to upper funnel awareness campaign to grow visibility and demand. You know, when we focus on prioritizing the direct bookings through the hotel's official website over bookings to the OTAs, we can control the traffic. We establish better relationships with the guests, and then we're really seeing improved conversion rates and overall costs.
Steve, how does Metasearch fit into a larger digital strategy that would include your CRM, personalization, even loyalty?
Oh, that like that is it's, if you think about your entire tech stack, you know, you're all for an independent website, again, you know, you're looking at again, we're talking about consistency, and this is more consistency around messaging then. So it's not just consistency around the rate, it's a consistency around everything that you do. So if you're offering a members rate on your through your emails, you know, so you're sending out a message to all of your database and you're saying, hey, you know, you're a member, join here, and that person then Googles the property and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to use the member rate, but then the booking link doesn't have the member rate, you know, so that's inconsistency. So it's, you know, making sure that you have all of those dots joined up is super important. Even if it's a case if you have some kind of personalization tool on the website, whether it be the agentic booking engine or whether it's the recommender engine, you are, you know, making sure that that information is surfacing on that tool, but it's consistent with the Metasearch, it's consistent with your CRM, it's consistent with all the tools that you have going. So it's yeah, consistency is the key takeaway today. Yeah.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It is a huge amount of moving parts, and it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to stay on top of either. There's so much technology out there. I know you, Jason, you're this is one of the things that you're beating the drum on, but it's there's a huge amount of technology, and it does need a level of consistency and joined up thinking. And so it's because it's, and there's so many different touch points in a guest journey, right? Like, you know, from end to end, from, you know, day one thinking about a booking right through to that confirmation and then actually staying, you know, there's so many different touch points that, and it does need a really good marketing team will be will be working very closely with an operations team and a revenue team to make sure that there's consistency around the messaging to every single guest right through. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but when all that aligns, when your teams and your content and your technology and your digital strategy align, man, it's magical, right? I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it, and it's we see it a huge amount, particularly the customers. Like, we're working with some customers for nearly 25 years, and we've seen them, grow. And I'm not saying it's going to take 25 years for everybody, but it's obviously technology has come on a long way in that time. But like, we tend to look at it as it's a digital maturity is what you're kind of trying to achieve. So it's one step at a time, one bite of the elephant every single way, and you'll eventually kind of get there to it. So it's but it can and it can be drastically or it can really make drastic changes to your end of year bottom line, and that's going back to talking about profitability. If you're able to flip from 90% of your bookings OTAs to 10% of your bookings OTAs, that's 90% coming through direct. The profitability in that it's enormous, and it's worth the effort.
Yeah. Danielle, let's wrap up with, if a hotelier is watching this and, they're unsure if their Metasearch strategy is working, like, what's one action you'd recommend they take this week?
So if hotels unsure whether their Metasearch strategy is working or not, I would start by checking the rate parity. So kind of the focus of the conversation. Looking at your hotel's direct rates across a few key dates, comparing them to what the OTAs are showing. Are they undercutting you with lower prices or exclusive deals? And as Steve just mentioned, those small differences can really impact your conversions and your click-through rates, your direct bookings. So just ensuring that your direct rate is either equal to or better than the OTA is key.
Yeah. All right. Consistency seems to be the theme of this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both joining us, and as Danielle mentioned, and I mentioned, I'll put the digital strategy mini book that Steve put together for 2025, which is really, really good resource. I'll put that link in the comments, and let's do it again soon.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.